When one door closes,
another one opens.
Welcome to the True North Lifestyle Podcast.
Rolling, rolling, rolling.
rolling.
All right.
Keep the
We're
ponies
back again.
rolling.
Yeah.
Here today with my buddies Rick and Lee.
Hey.
Hey,
Hey.
how you doing? And this is like the cog in the wheel that is a super important part of it, but is never here with us is Taylor Walker.
It's happening. It's weird to be in front of the camera, not behind it.
Yeah.
Although most of the time Joe's the one setting up the focus. So.
I will say you look good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
that.
I like the hat.
You do too.
I like the hat.
Yeah, public lands matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn right they do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just put together a deal or help facilitate a deal with High Peaks Alliance and
Nice.
a landowner over in Madrid.
Yeah, cool. I do a bunch of work with those guys.
Do you?
Yep.
Brent?
Yeah, Brent's awesome.
Yeah. Dana
Yes.
Bowman from the Madrid club there called, and they were having communication breakdown with a real estate agent, and I just happen to know her well, and she's a great gal, and
Cool.
and I called and said, hey, it would be easier to get a right-of-way through there now than it would with a potential new owner, so, but they got to come up with some money, but I think they're going to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like their approach to conservation. It's very multi-use, hunt,
Yeah.
fish, ATV, bird
Yeah.
watch, you
Yep.
name it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so Taylor, I guess we'll cover the story here in a few minutes about how we met, but I've known Taylor for 8 or 9 years now, I think, and
minute.
I've come to find out since then that Taylor knows everyone because whenever his name comes up, oh yeah, I know Taylor, yeah. So, but anyway, when we were getting ready to launch the new podcast, being that the field that Taylor's in, and he's great with the filming and editing and all that, I called him about helping us to get this going, and as far as equipment and edit and everything, and he actually said, no dude, I'll edit it. So
Well, I felt like we had some unfinished business from our first project, so
yeah,
it
right.
worked out good.
So to go back a little bit and how Taylor and I met, our first project was Taylor was hired to follow me with a camera in, I think it was 2018.
Yeah, around there.
And it was muzzleloader week, and it was that year we had just an ungodly amount of snow. I mean, it was tough walking. And Taylor showed up. Knowing him now, I understand it, but when he showed up that day, I didn't quite understand it. He had rented a camera. It was like, what, a $50,000 camera or something?
The package was probably about there. Yeah, we were rolling with a red. It was a pretty nice setup.
18 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
Couple V-mount batteries that are about, a brick.
Oh,
He carried that thing all week following
Wow.
me.
I didn't know what tracking was, let alone hunting in this part of the state at the time. So
yeah.
it was a bit eye-opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a tough week for
You're telling me.
the deer it was one of those weeks. I mean, the deer just disappeared. We had a hard time even finding a track, let alone a deer. But the coolest part of that, and I'll let you tell it, is that Taylor wasn't even a hunter before that, really, were you?
I was not. No, I had kind of grew up fishing and camping and hiking and doing everything in the outdoors, but hunting was never something that was really in my family, and I didn't know much about it. I definitely didn't know what tracking was, and it was the crash course with Joe in the woods, nearly dying of leg fatigue, that was like, hey, maybe this is something I want to do.
Yeah, it was work. Well, you started off in this area kind of with the rafting, right?
Yeah, I was a video boater for crabapple whitewater for a long time, and then I kind of worked for everybody at one time or another, and raft guided for just over a decade. Did 4 years in the Forks and then 6 years up on the West Branch, and that's kind of what led me to this part of the state to begin with. I live over at Sugarloaf full time now and have for a while, and I figured I live where these guys do this wild thing called tracking deer in the woods. I might as well get into this,
Might as well
especially
do
because
it.
November is a terrible month if you don't do something. So
Right.
That's right.
yeah, that's what got me into it.
Yeah. Have you killed one tracking yet?
Not yet, but it's going to happen this year. I've had some very close calls, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a much better bird hunter than I am deer hunter so far.
It'll all come together.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and I think the best thing about it too is that mid-December I'm in like the best shape of my life. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
If we could just get that to mid-September, mid-October,
Yeah.
we'd be better off. But
It is true though. You always feel the best shape after deer
like
season's
$1 million
over.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went down in January and did the whole Flintlock, Pennsylvania hunt this past year, and that was a trip.
Wow. Yeah.
But it was
No
great.
kidding. I didn't realize you did
Yeah,
that.
it was great. Me and my buddy Ryan Blake went down and did that, and it was great rolling into that coming off deer season in Maine because I was like, felt like a beast in the
There's
woods.
nothing, yeah.
That's my buddy Pat that lives down in PA. He flintlock hunts, and that is something that's a challenge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got the pan in it. It's got to have the pan and all. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I took
I
a
mean-
shot at a doe that was like, I don't know, 20 yards. I pulled the trigger and the gun's like, and there's sparks spraying in your face. And by the time the round goes off, the deer's like 10 more yards away.
You gotta keep leading.
Yeah, you're trying to lead them, but you can't see anything. It's a trip.
Yeah.
It was a
Did
lot
you-
of fun.
Did you buy a flintlock or did you borrow one?
My buddy Ryan and I split one we got on Gunbroker, and then we borrowed another one from the hunting camp we were at. And
Okay.
yeah, it was some real wild pioneer stuff in the woods.
What does a flintlock go for these days?
We got the one we bought for like $250.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was brand new.
Huh.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a couple companies I think that still kind of make them.
What did you figure? Did you guys shoot it much before?
The gun, we took
Yeah.
it to the range for an afternoon and had mixed results,
You did.
which is about what it was like shooting it in the woods too.
yeah.
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 Mixed results.
Yeah.
Do you think if everything goes? I mean, obviously that people kill deer with them every year, but as far as the speed of your ball coming out,
Sometimes it's like you pull the trigger and the gun goes off, just like a muzzle loader.
Yeah.
Other times it's like a second or two delay, and sometimes it's like 6 seconds, and you're like, is it going to go off now? I don't know.
so you got to learn to kind of hold it there when you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Huh.
And the guys that were down there that we were staying with, they had all the powders figured out, and once you kind of got dialed in with the program that works, it was definitely
Right,
things
right.
were working better than
Yeah.
what we were trying to do at the range in Carabasset at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Guys that do it all the time with those old muzzleloaders got it figured out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
so you didn't grow up hunting, but did you fish more when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did, but it was more like my family has a place in southern Maine on Kennebunk Pond, so it was a lot of bass fishing and trolling on the lake, that kind of thing. As I moved up into this part of the state, I got heavily into fly fishing, which is pretty much all I do now.
Yeah. So you were rafting the river all those years. Were you fly fishing then in those
Not
days?
so much, mostly because like every waking minute that I could, I was in my kayak. It's a lot like skiing or something. You get addicted. That's all you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
The older I get and the more my body hurts, fishing's really fun, especially in the spring. I used to be out stuffing puffies into my dry suit to go kayaking, and now I'm like, I think I'll be a fisherman for a few more days.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's got their thing, right? Like I've got a lot of friends down in the Forks that are rafters and kayakers, and they love going down the river, and they love going when it's, the ice just went out and it's really cold or there's snow or whatever. Not my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to, I'm good for like one, maybe two trips
Depending on
a
the
summer
day,
if some friends come to town.
You got to get the flow when it's there is the thing. So the water's running.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Cool. This was a big year for water.
Yeah,
this
it's
spring.
still,
Yeah.
it's still pretty high in a lot of places. I actually
Yeah.
saw, I don't know if you guys saw that rescue that just happened up on the Allagash.
Yeah.
There was two people that were stranded like in the current at the top of Allagash Falls, and they airlifted them out.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like
no.
Oh, no
yesterday, I
kidding.
think. Yeah. But I couldn't believe how high the water was. For this time of year, we've had a lot of rain and runoff. And
Yeah.
were they kayaking and got stranded there?
I don't know
and
the
said,
full
"I've had
story.
enough,"
I would
or-
imagine. No, I'd imagine they were canoeing and something.
Oh, okay.
They must have missed a portage.
Yeah. Right. Huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then the guy that just passed away died on the West Branch.
Rafting.
No, fly fishing. His weight is
Oh,
filled,
yeah, the
weight
you
is
were
filled
telling
with
us about,
water,
yeah.
and his buddy had a hold of him, I guess, and the current took him and couldn't
Yeah,
hold
it's
him.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, water is a powerful force. People don't realize it sometimes. It's
Yeah,
kind of the rule.
unbelievable.
Rule of thumb is if it's over ankle deep, you can drown in it, and that's people don't think about that.
I was fishing with Eric Frigon on the Dead a few years back, and he had waders on, and he's out in the middle sitting on a rock, just casting, and I was standing on a rock next to him. I didn't have any waders on. I'm standing and I'm talking. Didn't realize the river there was a release that day, and all of a sudden, it just started getting a little bit louder, and I looked around and I was like,
"Oh boy,
Eric, go! Come on!" And he was trying to wade across, now the flow's picking up. And I'm telling you, he just made it without those waders getting full.
It's scary stuff. Brookfield actually had a lot of policy changes in recent years, probably 8 to 10 years, where they'll ramp flows out of releases now rather than just releasing all at once as a warning sign. And it happened because of an incident with a fisherman, and I think it was in New Jersey or Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, your day job, is what?
Film. Yeah, editing, shooting, all that kind of stuff. I do a lot of freelance contract work. Like I was saying, I work with High Peaks quite a bit. I do some work with some big brands like LL Bean. But it's just a lot of whatever, which is exciting. And that's why I've, have the opportunity to meet a lot of people and experience a lot of different things and ultimately end up getting into hunting,
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so it was interesting when we got back together and you were showing me, because you had actually started your knife thing back in 2018.
Yeah. So that was a hobby that has turned into a little business, and has been pretty interesting to learn about and get into and develop products for it. It originated, I kind of started making knives just for fun. And then I was a river guide, and every river knife on the market is complete junk. They always have been. It's a gripe that we've all had as guides for a long time. And one day I was like, why don't I make a river knife? I can make a better tool, And so I did, and that's really the flagship product that I sell, and has been the tool that has led to the evolution that, the design philosophy that I'm now carrying over into hunting knives and other tools. And it was really just born out of necessity. And once I started making them and people were like, I want one of those, it just it became what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that great. Knife you brought today, I'm blown away by that thing.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what,
one.
This isn't great audio podcast material, but for the people watching on YouTube, I brought some gifts for you guys.
Uh-oh.
And you were asking about these a minute ago, so I think it's only perfectly fitting.
Wow.
There's 3 different sheath colors in there. It's kind of you get what you get, but this is the Tracker 2.0. It's a revised version of my current Tracker model. You guys are the first ones to see these. They haven't. I was in the shop until midnight last night, finishing these up so that I would have them for today.
That is friggin' awesome, Taylor.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You were asking about the belt clips. I didn't want to give too much away because I wanted to surprise you, but these have the ultralight minimalist belt loop on them. Rick, if you push with your thumb, they're a little bit snug right now because the belt clips are on them. You can loosen them up to adjust it. But
all right with it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Go.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, they snap right. That's what I love about it.
Super strong retention. The Kydex sheath, for people that aren't used to it, is a little bit different, but it's all about that thumb release. If you press with your thumb, that sort of spreads the sheath right open, and that'll allow it to release real nicely.
Yeah, so lightweight.
Now, you said these haven't been released yet, right?
These are brand new. Yeah, these are. So I'll be bringing a pile of these to Huntstock. That'll be the first time or place anyone can get them. And then whatever's left over is going to go on the website after that.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, this is, so like I was saying, a lot of design philosophy from building river knives has been carried over into these tools, and that is most notably how thin they are and how light they are.
Oh, that doesn't weigh anything.
And the reason for that is, that, a river knife gets mounted on your PFD, and you carry it right on your life jacket, and it can't interfere with paddling. It needs to be lightweight, and it also has to have unbelievable retention in the sheath, so it's not coming out in the river. And so a lot of that design philosophy has carried over into building these tools.
Yeah. So we were all salivating over this knife when Taylor showed up. So this is pretty cool that he brought some for us.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very cool.
I was out there shaving my arm with it, and I had some questions I wanted to ask you along those lines as far as sharpness comes, because I was.
Hey, he's not done giving.
I got something else for you.
All right. Just stop me whenever.
So, I know some guys prefer a leather sheath, so I've worked with Badger Claw Outfitters down in Texas. Wow. And we have made some custom leather sheaths for these knives. It's a snug fit when you first put it in. You got to really stick it in there, It'll kind of break in nicely. So, and this is designed similar to these, where if you wear it on a belt, it's going to ride real tight to your body.
That's not coming out.
It's also real thin, so you could put this knife in a pack. It's going to disappear. You can carry it on a chest rig.
Yeah.
I make Molly clip adapters, all kinds of different belt loops.
Do you have one of those clip adapters?
I
do. You have a
yeah.
river knife with you?
I don't have a river knife with me, unfortunately.
Those are nice
That's
sheets.
awesome.
Really nice sheets.
They are.
Yep.
Yeah. Very well
Yeah.
made.
So pretty
Lightweight.
cool little project.
Yeah.
And it's been the reason I've been able to get into it is because the nature of freelance film work is that I'll have a week or two at work, and then I'll have a week or two where I'm just kind of thumbing around at home, and I'm the kind of guy that has to stay busy. So that's where this has come from.
So talk a little bit, because I think this is really cool, about the blades, where you're sourcing them, that whole story.
So the steel is these knives in particular are MagnaCut steel, which is one of the highest quality cutlery steels you can get. When you choose a steel, you're often trying to decide, okay, do I want a high toughness steel? Do I want a good edge retention steel, or do I want high corrosion resistance? MagnaCut is kind of the first steel, and it's developed by Dr. Laren Thomas, who's a PhD in metallurgy. And the idea behind MagnaCut is that it really achieves an incredible balance of all of those things. So it's a tough steel. You can put forces on it. It also has incredible edge retention, and it has the highest corrosion resistance. Not the highest, but close to the highest corrosion resistance available in steels today. So like this knife is saltwater capable.
Yeah.
You can use this on the ocean. It's not going to corrode. It's not going to rust.
I think for an outdoor knife, that's number one right there. Corrosion.
Totally. And a lot of people, like a carbon steel knife, but we know how, I'm developing these for the climate I hunt in, and we know how wet November in Maine can be. And we know how many times we get home and you're so tired you don't put anything away, or you forget to pull something out of your pack and it's soaked the next morning.
Yeah.
So these knives are really designed to be a tool that you don't have to worry about. It's going to stay sharp. It's not going to rust up on you. It's going to be ready to go whenever you pull it out of that pack, no matter what's going on.
Right.
Cool.
Yep. And then as far as where you change where you're getting the steel from.
Yeah,
right?
so I was sourcing my steel. So when I get the steel, I get it cut via water jet. So they cut the profile of the knife out from a CAD file that I designed, and then I do all the, add the bevels, and the finishing work is all done by hand in my shop. But I was having the water jet and the steel done by one company down in New Jersey, and I was running into issues, and so I ended up sourcing the steel directly from Niagara Specialty Metals, who smelts the steel, and then I bring that steel into a company in Maine, Front Street Shipyard down in Belfast. They do the water jet cut for me, and then I can drive right down and pick them up.
Nice.
So it's really cool. It's cool to be able to bring that process in state. And I try to do as much of it in Maine as I can. Everything else is done in state. I do this. The handles are done on a CNC in the basement of my house. I do all the steel work, on a 2x72 belt sander in my shed out back. I make all the molds and cut all the kydex for the sheaths, and the sheath kydex is U.S. sourced as well, as is the G10, so that the handles are made out of. So everything is U.S. made and manufactured, and it's all built and put together by me in a little shed out behind the house.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
To
awesome.
me, that's worth a lot.
Yeah.
I'm willing to pay more money for something, for sure. I mean, not just because I think a lot of times they're going to be better quality, which I think your knife obviously is, but just for the fact not only is it U.S. made, but Maine made, and your sheath, like, you got to get into that more too, because you were telling us about the process and how much time it took and why you did that.
Yeah, I mean, so basically I create a mold of the knife out of HDPE, and then I built a homemade vacuum table that I pressed the kydex on a dummy knife. And so I spent a ton of time basically working on the geometry inside the sheath where the knife interacts with the plastic, so that you can have a nice easy retention, or a strong retention and an easy draw. Because a lot of times with my old stuff, when I was first getting into it, they'd really snap in, but then it was difficult to pull the knife out. And so now these have a nice easy draw, and the way this is designed, when you press with your thumb, it really kind of splits the sheath open to help that knife come out. And it's hundreds of hours of sitting at a computer playing with.
Until you pick one of those up and actually feel it in your hand, and it's incredible.
And this
really.
is, I had a version of this knife out before the tracker, and it was the same blade shape, but the handle wasn't real ergonomic. It was kind of awkward to hold.
Yep.
So this year, the big improvements are a more ergonomic handle and the upgrades to the sheath design.
Come September, that's going to gut 2 elk.
I love to hear it. I love to hear it. I've got
2
some,
moose in Alaska.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I've got some buddies that have put them through the paces, and fully processed large game multiple times a year.
Yeah.
And, something that I really value too is user feedback.
Yep.
I really like to, hear how people think things are
absolutely.
working and take that to heart and try to make changes. So every year there's little iterations that happen, and that's all based on what people are doing in the field. And guys that are really putting them through the paces that are far better hunters than I am.
So back when you first started, it was kind of like a hobby, you said, and you just wanted to make a better knife. You had no background in knife making or design or how it's done. So you start, tell us about that process. Cause I'm always interested to hear when someone starts on something they know nothing about and to get to where you're at now.
Yeah. The first knife I made, I literally built like this wooden jig, and I got just a bastard mill file, and I attached it to this metal rod, and I used that as a guide, kind of like a knife sharpener that you'd see today. I used that as a guide, and it took me like 3 hours per side of the knife to set the bevel in. And I kind of, put something together, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then, did one more like that, and I was like, man, doing this with a file is kind of not cool.
Yes.
And so, whenever, I'm just the kind of person that if I get into something, I usually get all in. And so I ended up getting a little 1x30 belt sander from my dad for Christmas that year. And I used that for about 4 knives, and I was like, that's cool, but maybe I should get a bigger one. And so I went out and bought a 2x72, which is kind of the standard belt sander in custom knife making. And yeah, that changed the game and opened some doors. And then, for a long time, I was doing a glued on handle where I would basically glue it all together and then hand sand and shape and profile the handles and everything. And it's like, oh, that's cool. But then, you want to make 20 of them, and it's not that cool. So,
Right.
So then I looked into, CNC options, and it turns out, the way kind of like hobbyist machining and garage machining is going right now, there's becoming it's a lot more affordable to step into, smaller scale production than it was just 5 or 10 years ago. So I didn't know anything about CNC, but I saw some guys on the internet that were doing what I wanted to be doing. And so I knew it was possible, and kind of just bought a machine and started doing my homework, and then, broke a lot of end mills and crashed the thing a few times and figured it out. Yeah. And so now I use the CNC to do the handles, to make the molds for the sheath, and to do the cutout for the sheath.
Yeah.
And so a knife, the sharpness of a knife is something everyone always goes for. Not just how sharp it is when you first start, but when you're doing a big animal. And we were talking about using moose as an example earlier, because a moose will, of all animals, I mean, they just have a very coarse hide and very thick, and they dull and quick. So what's the science on knife sharpness and what keeps it sharp?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things that go into it. One of the things that's really most important is the bevel angle and the angle and the thickness behind the cutting edge. And the reason that, when someone picks up a custom knife or a hand-built knife and they use it and they're like, wow, this is sharp, a lot of the time that's simply because we've ground these knives much thinner than a manufacturer who's dumping stuff into Walmart or wherever it may be doing. And a lot of that is because, this knife is built for someone that's going to use it and care for it and treat it the way a tool should be treated. Whereas big manufacturers, often they're creating something that they know is just going to be abused and beat on, and they don't want to deal with them breaking and that kind of thing. So I grind these really thin. They're almost taken down to a 0 edge. So they're basically like, you could almost cut yourself with it before I even put the edge on it. So it's really thin behind the cutting edge, which is going to allow that knife just to pass through, flesh, whatever, real easily.
Yeah.
Aside from that, edge retention is due in part to 2 things, really. It's, steel selection and also heat treat. Heat treat is really important. When I buy the steel, it's annealed, it's soft. It couldn't be a knife. You cut one thing with it and it would be dull. So after I, grind the bevels to a certain extent, finish the knife up, I send them out to a company that does my heat treat, and they use a very specific recipe based on the steel and based on factors that I want included. And the knife comes back heat treated, and once it's heat treated, I do the finish grinding, and I do all my finish grinding under a water jet on the grinder, so I'm never heating that steel up at all. And something that people don't realize too that can really kill the temper on the edge is any kind of like mechanical sharpener. I tell people all the time, if you're going to sharpen your knives, do not use anything that's electrically powered or has a belt or, you know, any kind of mechanics at all. Right. You want to use a nice stone. You want to keep it wet, cold, all the time. And, you know, those things all combined together are how you end up with a knife that's going to process an entire animal and remain sharp the whole time.
How do you like the, what I use for, I think it might even be Fiskars that makes it, but it's one that you just kind of pull the knife through. It's just got the V.
Yeah.
Sharpeners.
Yeah, I mean, not ideal.
Okay. You want a flat stone?
In a pickle you could use them, but I mean, really, especially if you're going to spend the kind of money on this type of tool, I mean, get yourself a nice stone set. There's some really great ones like the Work Sharp where it kind of has a little angle guide on it. And it may seem intimidating, but it's incredibly easy to use those devices and to sharpen a knife. And a lot of times, too, a knife doesn't even need to hit a stone. A lot of times a leather strop is all you need to really bring it back. So I kind of do that until you're like, okay, I got to
My favorite sharpening tool that I've always carried is a little pintle.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Because I was a butcher when I was in high school,
and
I learned on a big one to hold an edge, and that's always been my favorite go-to.
The most important thing is just when you're sharpening on any device is making sure that you're maintaining the same angle throughout the whole profile of the blade, because when you start getting all these little micro bevels and misaligned angles, that's when you're going to run into problems.
I think that's the part I always, on a flat stone, you're always, all right, got to make sure that it's just right.
Yeah. That's why I do love Work Sharp makes this little, it's a flat stone, but it has sort of these little angle devices on each end of it. So you kind of set the knife on the angle, and then that just sets you up to make the motion through the stone.
Right.
And those work pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other good options too, where you kind of anchor the knife, and you have a rod that sets the angle, and then you pull the stone across the knife. I like those a lot. I will have a setup at Huntstock at the booth this year, actually, and we'll be sharpening knives. So
get a little education.
Yeah, if anyone has a knife they need sharpened up or whatnot, bring it by.
Yeah, good. Hope everybody makes it to Huntstock.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of people going.
Be good.
They say they doubled their ticket sales this year already. Or
Oh, is that right?
That's awesome.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're still haven't bought a ticket, use promo code TTN for a 10% discount.
Yeah.
On your ticket. But yeah, it's we just had Ryan Cowper was over here, and he's anyone you bring it up to, going to Huntstock, So it's going to be good
so
this year. So
if you buy the tickets, I think that you get entered also into the free hunt giveaway with me and you and Lanny.
Oh, really?
Dan Infault. Yeah.
Oh, you're going down there too?
I mean, I woke up one day and I looked on Facebook and they had Legend next to my name, and I'm like, they got the wrong Lee Libby. So I don't know. I'm going to go, but I don't know who this other Lee Libby is.
You're in there.
So what is that, Rick? Tell for anyone who hasn't seen it.
So Pat with Huntstock's giving away a free hunt. Whoever wins this, with me, Lanny Benoit, Dan Infault, Lee Libby, and I think Neil's going.
Yeah, Neil's going.
Right. So there's 5 of us guys that whoever wins will get to hunt with all of us out of the same camp.
Yeah, in Western Mass.
Yeah,
right?
Western Mass. It's a muzzleloader season hunt. I believe it's sometime later in December there.
Yeah.
Which I like because I think there'll be snow.
Yeah. I hope they got a high fence one for me.
I know how those Western Mass guys love when their spots get blown up over there.
I'm excited for Huntstock. You guys have all been, right?
Yeah, I've been.
I've never been.
Year.
So
I was early, second year or something. I think it might have been first or second year, and I haven't been back. But
I've been every year.
You guys all camping out too?
Yeah. We're gonna camp out.
Nice.
This is year 3, right?
Yeah, my wife's got a motel room just in case the camping don't work out.
This is year 3, Joe.
Guys.
This is year 3 of Huntstock?
I think so.
3.
Okay,
I
so I went
think,
the first year.
Yeah. So, what's the price point on your knives?
It depends on the model, but they range anywhere from about $250 to $325.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So, like anything else, You got to pay for quality.
Yeah.
You do.
You know, it's not a cheap
or
knife.
be friends.
Yeah. Yeah. The amount of work that goes and hand work that goes into creating each one of them is a lot more than people might think. Yeah.
Well, it's a knife for life.
Yeah, totally.
You can,
and I
you
do.
can
I,
use
ba-
that
I back.
slogan, by the way.
I back all my knives for life. So if you have
Yeah.
one of my tools, and there's anything that goes wrong with it down the road, I'll take care of you. And also, I sharpen any tool that someone owns for free anytime. You just send it in. So
Awesome. Yeah.
So being that you hand make all your knives and you are the whole process, you better get working making knives.
Yeah, well, I've got a long list of things to get done before Huntstock. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I bet you're gonna have some late nights.
Yeah, just like last night. I was up until midnight last night making sure that I had these ready for you boys when I got here.
All right.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
Yeah. These are the first 4 off the Tracker 2.0 line. So there's still a few tweaks to make to the sheath. Everything, I was literally like, okay, it's ready enough. I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
Cool.
So another little thing I noticed was they're not on the knife handle, but on Lee's sheath, you have the topography in there. Which is
so
cool.
something cool that I do that not a lot of companies do is I offer a whole bunch of different sheath patterns and designs, and I kind of just try to get all kinds of stuff in that I think looks cool. And some people like the bright colors because if you set it down out in the woods, you can find it real easily.
Yeah.
Some people like, and I'll have different handle options too. I'm going to have a green, a blue, an orange, and a day glow. So there's kind of something for anybody's taste, just depending on what you're into.
All right. Yeah, but you do the mountain range design on there.
Oh,
right?
yeah, so that's
on
on the handle. So that's not the design on this sheath, but on the handle.
Oh, I thought it was on his sheath.
No, the handle of my river knives has I've added grip texture, and I may do some one-offs on these handles too. But I like the smooth on. It's not. There's texture here, but it's smooth enough that it's not going to hold a bunch of gunk if you're processing an animal.
Yeah.
The grooves on the river knife are quite a bit deeper, and they create a really intense texture. And that's because you're using it, in a water environment. But the pattern on that knife is actually topography derived from the Bigelow Mountains, which is right behind my shop.
Yeah.
It's not just some random pattern I pulled off the internet. So it's pretty cool.
You had your river knife up here once before. And
when I first
is that
saw
got a
you
rounded
guys.
tip or a blunt tip?
So the river knife comes in there's 2 options, but one of them is a blunt tip.
Yeah.
It's not like a sheep's foot knife that's rounded. It's actually very blunted. And the idea behind that is that, and not that I recommend using it in this way, but if you needed to, you could use it as a flathead screwdriver in a pinch, which I've done a few times on kayak outfitting that's come loose, that kind of thing. So, but the real design philosophy behind the blunt tip is that where it's a rescue tool, that tool is often, the idea is that if you're in some kind of rope entanglement in the water, and you need to cut yourself free, you can jam that knife between your leg and a rope, or between someone else and a rope, without risk of stabbing that person, essentially.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's a very purpose-built tool for that reason.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that your pattern, the blunt tip, or was that on some other river knife?
There's some other. There's a few other. The blunt tip is sort of the kind of go-to in a river knife, but there's really, there's 2 or 3 river knives that you can even carry responsibly, and even those I don't think have a place on the river because they tend to fall out of their sheaths a lot, to a point that I think it's a little more hazardous than anything, which is why I ended up making one. It was because, that's what I do, and I was sick of finding my tool on the bottom of a boat. It's ridiculous. So
Right.
I made a better one.
Well, it came up when we were talking before this, and the unfortunate story about the guy that died in his waders, and we said, what a tool to have,
Right
if
here.
because you're out there wading, have it on your waders, because now you can cut your waders off if something happens.
There's a long list of project ideas to get to for sure. But
first you got to pump out a bunch before Huntstock.
Yeah, that's the only focus right now.
Yeah,
I do have a bird and trout design. A nice little knife that's super super lightweight, but that's kind of currently sitting in CAD files that are ready to be put into action. So maybe this fall.
A bird knife.
Yeah.
I bet that'll be the first of its kind.
Well, there's a lot of little upland knives out there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Shows how much I know about bird knives.
Yeah. It's a little more, and I kind of want it more for trout than I do for bird, but it would be a good tool for both.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to get some time in to do while it was hot. I don't even know if it's still on right now. old guy Mike's going to be able to talk to us a little bit about that. But the fishing, have you been fly fishing at all lately?
Yeah, it's we're getting to the point where water temps are kind of exceeding what is, morally right to be fishing as far as fish health is concerned. But up until, not too long ago, it was a real good season. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best seasons I've seen in quite a few years,
Yeah.
and it was all related to all the rain and the cloudy, cold weather we had because
Yeah.
it kept that water temperature in
Yep,
the 50s.
sure did.
Yep.
So what is morally
Well,
right
I think,
water?
65 degrees is kind of the where it starts to get a little bit
The
questionable.
limit.
Yeah. You get over that, and you probably really shouldn't be pulling them up because they just, they have a hard time recovering when you release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They out west even they recommend if you're going to fish over 65 degrees to just keep your fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the chance of survival is very slim. Yeah.
You always checking water temp when you're fishing?
I tend to check, but it's more of like, oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
The
This
finger
week was
test,
brutal.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
been. We've had some weather. Yeah. And I
Terrible
do a
one.
lot. I'm more of a pond guy. I don't fish the rivers so much. So water temp is a pretty important factor in what's going on with the bugs and the fish and everything. So I have a little thermometer that hangs off my float tube I keep an eye on.
The float tube thing.
Yeah.
So
Don't tell anybody.
my son-in-law and I had been talking about that recently, and we're definitely going to try that out. But I had questions about how fast you can get around with them and all that, and I ended up talking to a guy that does it, and he's like, "Oh, it's the ticket."
Yeah.
Really?
And
It's terrible. No one should do it.
you can't keep it all to yourself, Taylor. You'll learn that.
I got one.
So you pack that thing in anywhere, and
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to make you talk about
yeah,
it.
that's all right. That's what's great about it. You can throw it on your back and you can walk into some remote ponds. And the cool thing about Maine is that a lot of remote ponds have canoes on them, and there's usually a canoe that's available to use. But the float tube just kind of, I think it's a little bit better tool because you're not as wind affected as you are in a canoe. I really like you can feel the water temp on your legs because your legs are submerged. You're kind of flipper kicking around, and
Right.
so you kind of feel where spring
You wear
water
the
is.
flippers on your feet?
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
wear flippers.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's how you move around.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
What about do you ever, being down so low to the water, does it ever affect you with your casting as far as?
No, not at all. Yeah. No. I actually feel like it's better because you're not as affected by wind and stuff like that, and you kind of use your feet to, steer and hold your position, and you can spin around real fast and target rises. And
And obviously doesn't affect the fish at all. They don't care.
they don't care. Yeah.
All right, something to try
Who's
next
this
year.
big
Yeah.
guy in the
It's
water?
terrible though. You got to kick all the time. You got to lug that thing around. You shouldn't do it. Yeah. Shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Did you do good fishing this year?
Yeah, it was a really good year. Yeah, we had good season. Chased the hex right into the early July, and yeah, it was fun.
Nice. So what are your hunting plans this year?
Miles on the boots. Yeah, I've got some zones that I like to hunt, but I really like to just get in the woods and kind of find a track. I can't sit around, and I think that's why maybe I didn't get into hunting sooner. And when I kind of went out with you and found out what tracking was all about, I was like, okay, this is something I could get into because I just can't. I can't sit still. I'm not that kind of person. So, let's get in the woods, find a track, and try to make something happen. Came close a few times.
Yeah, I remember one of the things that was good when you came with me is being that you had never tracked before, never hunted, you were no hindrance at all to...
Well, that's good because I certainly wasn't in shape for what we were doing. And I definitely had way too much weight in my pack.
Yeah, no,
And
you
there was
kept
a
up.
lot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, you learned in a hurry to go
Yeah.
light.
The first, I very vividly remember the first poke we made from the truck out to you were like, oh, I just want to go check out around this little pond. And, halfway there, I was like, oh my God, what is going on?
But you never said anything.
Well, I was feeling it.
Yeah. Never said
And Joe,
anything.
I mean, this guy's got legs like a moose. He was like, he looked back at one point. He's like, so is this like, are you always going to be that far away? And I was like, all right, here we
I
go.
might be further.
Yeah. Where's the truck again?
Is there a reason you're back there?
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, you know, he whipped me into shape quick though, and we got into a good rhythm. I think by the midweek, and it was a lot of painful fun.
Not just, but it wasn't just a matter of the physically keeping up, but I mean being quiet and all that, because there's sometimes guys will go and they're just constantly breaking sticks and everything if they haven't done it before, and you kind of fell right into it.
I've spent a lot of time in the woods. It hasn't been hunting, but I've been in the woods my whole life, and just I feel like I'm pretty in tune with what's going on in the woods. So hunting is a really new, fun way to. I'm definitely your classic case of adult onset hunting syndrome, and it's addicting. I'm into it.
Yeah, we got the best footage you could ever get of not killing a deer.
We did.
It was scenic.
I have there's a really epic scene in that collection of footage of Joe with his truck absolutely mired, and he's been under the thing for, I don't know, 30 minutes trying to get chains on, and he's borderline hypothermic.
Yeah.
It was good.
We broke it, so I went to go down through a ditch, and I snapped my drive shaft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my front drive shaft. Oh. And well, not the drive shaft. I snapped the yoke broke.
Oh, the yoke. Yeah.
And so there we are stuck in it. It was the front tires were down in that ditch, and it was quite a ditch. It was a stream that got washed out. So I had to get put the tire chains on to get us out, and the drive shaft, of course, is on there, so it turns all the time on the Ram. So had to jack the truck up in order to get the tire chains on, just because you had to get under the tires, and we got it out. But then we had to drive 7 miles back to the main road, where
I was shocked we made it. I mean, we're talking like, what, 24 inches of snow, 30 inches of snow?
It was deep, yeah.
Just
so like two-wheel drive.
You could barely see out the windshield because the snow was just flying over the windshield the whole time.
But we crawled because that drive shaft was turning, so I had to take and use a ratchet strap just to keep it up where it turned real slow, and we crawled out of there.
So it did break the front drive. It broke the U-joint.
It broke the U-joint.
Wow. Yeah.
Or it was on the Rams, on the back part of it, it's got the it's like a double knuckle there, double U-joint.
Yeah.
And it broke that.
Centrifugal joint.
Yeah.
Broke that. Yeah.
And I've broken a few of those.
My old Ford Bronco had one of those.
But yeah, that was an adventure.
I got this really incredible shot of Joe. We were just out in the woods, and this little Canadian Jay flew down out of a tree and landed right on the barrel of his rifle as he was holding it up. Yeah, and he looks right at the little bird, and he's like, "Where's the big buck at?" And the bird just kind of like walked around on his barrel and then flew away. It was wild.
He didn't tell us so.
Did you follow the bird?
We tried. Couldn't keep up.
I was going to say,
Taylor was holding back.
You there.
Probably was.
I've had a few guys follow me over the years, and I'm not even going to say their names, but you'd look back and they were dragging, and then you look back again and they're way back. So I'd wait, and I said, "So you're going to make it today?" Yeah, well, I'll be all right. And then the next time you look back, you don't see him no more. And I went back one night, and all his gear was packed up, and he left camp.
I had a cameraman that
he said, "This ain't for me."
I had to teach him how to use the GPS and a compass.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I just eventually was like, all right, this isn't going to work. So we'll go as long as you can go, and then when I get sick of waiting for you, we'll point you in the right direction. And he made it back to the truck every single time. Yeah.
Wow.
I think actually your
but
hunt,
once
your hunt where you had the guy go that filmed Lee was a non-hunter, never done it before, and that was kind of the inspiration. I was like, well, Lee did it with this guy. Yeah. Taylor's going to be fine.
Yeah, he told me afterwards.
Except you killed a deer.
That was his last day. He was quitting that day.
Is that
Brett?
Brett Saunders?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. I haven't seen him in years, but yeah, we used to, yeah, I know.
You know Patrick Hawksley, my brother-in-law? Him and Brett are good friends.
Yeah.
Brett did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an awesome film.
Yeah, definitely not a hunter.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever wants to do it again.
He's a super talented filmmaker.
Yeah.
I always feel like there's these different styles of film. You know, there's the homegrown, and it really, both of them are going to get all kinds of attention. Yeah. You know, you can film something on your iPhone, and as long as it's good content and everything's authentic, it goes great. But yours and the one that Taylor and I were attempting to make was more of a
We'll find a use
cinematographic.
for that footage at some point. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
There's some good stuff
Yeah.
in there. That's something we always say in the business though is story is king, and it's like, and a lot of people will be like, what kind of camera should I buy to get into filming hunts and this and that? And I'm like, honestly, man, a GoPro on your phone is where you should start out. It's all you really need, you know. And it's
Right.
like if you can tell a good story with that, it's going to be awesome. And,
Yeah.
and it's sometimes having a big camera and a camera package and all these things makes it harder to shoot and film because it's like you got to pull it out, you got to turn it on, you got to do all these things. Whereas like you can just pull your phone out, boom, you already know how to use it.
Yeah.
The tool that you know how to use and you can use efficiently is going to be the better storytelling tool than anything else.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yep, good advice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to mount cameras on my gun. I got an old 7200 meat stick, and that thing's got screws in the forearm and just whatever. And then I found this looked like a flashlight, and I literally taped it on the buttstock one morning, and I couldn't really tell where it was going. I just assumed it was at the end of the barrel, and I was headed over to East Kennebago, and I see this 7-pointer. No, it ended up being an 8-pointer across the road. And I couldn't tell how big it was, but it didn't look giant. And it snowed 2 inches in the morning, then it was warming up. It was literally melting like at daylight. And I'm like, oh, shit, man. I said, well, I'll jump on his track and just go see where he goes. So I take his track, run down in the woods, and he takes a right, and I look to my left, and there's a giant buck standing there looking over his shoulder at me. I pull up, and there's a tree right there, and he's looking at me, and I can't really get a good shot. And I'm like, maybe the base of the neck, or maybe just right in the rear. I don't. Like, he's fudged. Like, he has to, like, come out of that little spot. And I'm just standing there waiting. And this thing takes one jump and ends up on the backside of a blowdown. And I got no shot. And he's staring at me. And I'm like, maybe I'll shoot him in the head. I don't know. But, like, we're just watching each other. And all of a sudden, he puts his head down. And I don't see him. So I'm like, oh, shit. So I wait a few minutes. And I reach down. I turn that camera on. And I sneak down around the blowdown. And he's gone. And there's like 75 yards of green growth. So I put my gun up in the air. I get it all on film. Put my gun in the air, and I'm walking through, and then all of a sudden it opens right up into the base of this old cut, and there's this hardwood ridge, and I hear a deer blow, and I look, and he takes off, and I thought it was the big one. Well, he had spun around and came in with that little 8-pointer, weighed 179, I think it was. And that 8-pointer took off running, and I've got 3 shots on him running, and every single shot you can see hit him. Boom, boom, boom. And every time you can just see it slamming that deer. And I'm like, holy shit. And he goes down, and I'm like, that's awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, it didn't look as big as it did when I just saw it. And I hear this, whew, and I turn, and that big bastard is standing there looking at me going, dummy. And that's one of the moments where you really, like, your whole moral compass comes into play, because you're like, I could kill him. Nobody would ever know, but I didn't. Then I was rooting for the 8-pointer. I'm like, get up, buddy, get up. You can do this. Shake it off.
Yeah.
He didn't shake it off.
I had one 2 years ago where I probably should have taken a shot, and not today I probably would, but it was muzzle loader. I think there was like 4 days left or something. And I had driven out in the morning, I had just finished my coffee, and we had probably got 2 inches of fresh snow on top of like a foot. And I see this nice track in the road, and it was like right where I was planning to park already too. So I'm like, perfect. So I park, I hop out of the truck, I jump on this track. I go maybe 200 yards from the truck. And as I got into the deeper snow, I'm still kind of learning how to identify a track and figure out what's what. And as I got in the deeper snow, I'm kind of doing is this a good track? I don't know, and I'm second guessing. And I kind of just stop at one point, and I'm standing there looking down at this track, thinking about it, and something catches my eye, and I look up, and there's just this rack. And it's all I can see is like half of his neck, his head, and rack. And he's laying down, he's bedded behind this big blowdown. And my gun's down low, and I'm like, and I kind of look, and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, okay, he's going to stand up, and I'm going to have a shot. So, like, as I swing up, he stands up, and I learned that day that they are ninjas. And the way he, spun around and came up out of that bed, he came up behind the only tree there, and he was gone.
Yeah.
I followed him for 11 more miles that day, bumped him like 8 times, and I never saw him.
Oh, wow.
But you know what?
The coffee hadn't even hit yet. I mean, come on.
The best part about that you got to take away from it is there's guys that have tracked for years and don't get that experience.
Yeah.
You know, of looking at a bedded buck.
Yeah.
You know, a big bedded buck.
He wasn't even 50 yards. I mean, he was right there.
And you'll never
Right
forget
there.
that scene
No,
in your
I
mind.
do. I
Etched
replay
in
it all
there.
the time.
I shot 3 in their beds, and that's always like the neatest thing because you're like, I win.
Yeah.
That's what you think, I win. There was a big one in New Hampshire I was tracking. I saw him one day on fresh snow, and it looked like he had a tree on his head. And I'm like, oh, man, I want to kill that buck. I totally screwed that day up. I went back the next day, went in, took what I thought was his track, and I was trucking through the woods, and I look up, and I see a buck's head looking away from me, laying behind a blowdown, and it's not the same buck. This one's much wider, but less antlers. I mean, this first one, the first day, looked like he had a tree on his head. And I was like, I'm looking at this blowdown, and it looks old. The tops broke off. I'm like, this thing's at 50 yards, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, say, hey, you know, what do? I'm like, that thing's got to be rotten. I'm going to shoot through that blowdown. So I pulled up in dead center of that blowdown and pulled the trigger. Well, it didn't draw any blood, but it scared the shit out of him. He come out of that bed and he was gone. And I thought, sure, I was going to walk up there and see blood, but no, never made it through. I mean, it was probably a 12-inch blowdown that was, I thought it was pretty old and rotten, but could have been froze up pretty good too. But.
Yeah. I shot through a tree before and got one, but it wasn't rotten and it wasn't big.
Really?
The deer was with a muzzleloader.
Yeah.
Deer was 5 yards from me.
Oh,
It was in thick stuff, and it was so thick. I put it in. I could only see one piece of his antler, but I could see the beam came out enough where I was like, yeah, I'm going to kill it. And I shot, and he ran right by me. Didn't see anything wrong with him at all. Thought I missed him. Went around over there and saw that popple, and it had a hole right through it. And I was like, oh, there, it just screwed it up. So I took my time and everything, ended up tracking it, and it was dead 80 yards away. It went right through his chest cavity.
No kidding.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned from that one, and then a few other like that, is sometimes you just gotta shoot. You gotta take.
when
the
you
shot
got
you
snow,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
one thing.
Always.
People argue about it, and you got to have a perfect broad. If you wait for a perfect broadside shot, you're gonna have to be a long time killing one on the
You're
snow.
just not. Those opportunities, I feel like, are so few and far in the woods that we have. It's like.
You've got the
gotta take what
advantage
you
of
got.
snow.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it was Tommy Hamilton that said to me when I started guiding for Big Woods for Hal at Cedar Ridge, he says, "Lev, just fill the woods full of lead. They got to run through it."
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
you know.
I shoot.
Yeah, I shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I'm tracking and I see a tail of brown and
I know it's the buck I
it's
want.
the buck I want,
Yeah.
I'm shooting.
Yeah.
yeah. So that hour went by quick, huh?
Yeah, has it been an hour already?
Yeah.
Look at that.
But anyway, really appreciate you coming over today, Taylor. Not your first trip over, but
No, thanks for having me.
and especially all the help that you've given us getting this thing off the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do something really cool this fall on film.
Yeah, let's do
And
it.
We'll
I'm down.
get it back here
Yeah.
next year and talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Whether it's you or anybody, I mean, if you got a
Yeah,
chance
we should
to
put
go,
something together.
What I would like to do is have Phil Mills, who also films for us. He's the
Yeah, I met him
fellow
at Moose Fest there.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Is to follow you
Yeah.
and
Jeez.
get your first buck.
that's
on
pressure.
super cool. Yeah,
That's what I
super
want.
Cool. Yeah.
when we get the right conditions. So we'll
Yeah.
talk to Phil, and sometimes you can't always plan that stuff anyway. There's weather and people's schedule and everything else.
Yeah.
But if it lines up,
Yeah.
it'd be kind of fun to do. I think that'd be a great story, and I think you'd get some great footage out of it.
Yeah.
Of course, you might be over there like worried about the filming more than hunting.
Well, when it's your day job and you don't have to do it, it's easy to be like, I'm not getting involved with that at all.
True.
But and more than that, man. Thank you for the knives.
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
I'm
knives.
looking forward to hearing what you guys
Yeah.
think about them. Like I said, feedback is paramount to what I'm doing,
Yeah.
so let me have it. And
I can already tell this is going to be a phenomenal knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put all those belt clips on real quick last night. So if the sheath is real tight, you may want to just loosen those up a little bit. And
Okay.
good to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to Huntstock, be sure to check out Taylor's booth and buy a knife from him. But I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a sharpening set up there too. So like I said, if you've got a knife that needs a tune-up, bring it by. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thanks for coming over.
Appreciate it.
Great conversation.
And if anybody wants to look this stuff up, Walker Knives on Instagram and walkerknives.com. Check it out.
Yeah, we should cover that part, huh?
Yeah.
Walker Knife
Shameless
Company,
self-promotion,
which I do really. I told you the first time you came over, the first podcast we did, you gave me a sticker, and I was like, I love the name Number One. It's like old
works,
school,
Yeah.
rolls off, simple.
Yeah. Most of my buddies actually call me Walker. I don't hear Taylor very often,
Walker.
so that's funny.
When you see that cool guides patch around with the original state of Maine flag, you'll know that's Taylor Walker Knives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I really appreciate the support from people that have bought knives from me. It's been incredible, and I've had a lot of good feedback. So it's been really, really cool to get into, and excited to hear what you guys think when you get them in the field.
Cool.
Yeah,
we'll put them to use.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
So, having said that,
till next time, shoot straight.